I am Gabriel Angelos, captain of the Bloodravens. My chapter is in ruins. The sector is at war. Its world's under siege. Chaos spread, consumes all. Here, we will make our final stand. Here, there will be retribution. The Adeptus Astartes are the sword against the thralls of darkness. Stoic and noble warriors, carrying the burden of their forebears' legacies, each Space Marine of the successor chapters must fulfill the oaths of their primarchs and the continued deeds of their chapter. Yet some among these successors have no records of their chapter's founding, and among such warriors, their duty to fight in the Emperor's name is further emboldened. For today, we shall elucidate the master of one such chapter, who despite their enigmatic origins, would be charged with defending an important, yet besieged, sector of Imperial space. The proud chapter master of the Bloodravens, Gabriel Angelos. Though much of Gabriel Angelos' origins are shrouded in mystery, what can be gleaned is that alike to the majority of his kin, he would be born on the world of Cyrene. Born the son of an Imperial Guard soldier, Esmond, Gabriel's first moments in life would be epitomized by sacrifice, as his mother died during childbirth, leaving Gabriel to be raised alone by his father. Eking out an existence alongside his stalwart friend, Isidore Akaios, Gabriel would trust his childhood friend above all and be inducted alongside him into the chapter of the Bloodravens. Marked for greatness from the start of his years of his initiation, Gabriel would prove a capable leader among his neophyte kin, and with time, ascend through the ranks of the Astartes alongside his stalwart brother, training within the chapter's librarium. Isidore Akaios would succeed in his trials to become a librarian of the chapter, whilst after centuries of service, Gabriel's deeds made in the name of his chapter would see to his promotion to the rank of the captain of the 3rd Company, and receive the title of Commander of the Watch. Returning to his homeworld with his promotion, Angelos would preside over the chapter's blood trials, the ceremony to which initiates would be selected. Yet whilst observing the ceremony, Angelos would identify the signs of chaos corruption within the initiates of the trials, and send word to the Emperor's Holy Inquisition regarding his suspicions. Solar months later, the Imperial Navy under the command of the Inquisition, with a detachment of the Ordo Malleus, would arrive at Cyrene. Deploying a Brotherhood of the Grey Knights chapter, aided by the Bloodravens, and a regiment of stormtroopers, the cleansing of Cyrene would begin. Yet the Chamber Militant of the Ordo Malleus would not find the influence of chaos to be the root of the unrest, instead identifying signs of cultural and ideological change. Democracy, trade with Xenos, and the unchecked freedoms and powers of unregistered psychers would be rampant upon Cyrene, to which Angelos would order a squad of his own men, led by Sergeant Ulre, to track down a particular individual. Esmond Angelos, Gabriel's father, had retired from service to the Imperial Guard for many years, and Gabriel would intend to rescue him from the impending destruction, yet find his father had grown alienated with the rule of the Imperium. Turning from the Emperor's light, Esmond would be among the instigators of the rebellion of Cyrene, for he had despised the Imperium for taking his son from him and transforming him into one of the Angels of Death. Cursing Gabriel for his butchery in the name of the Emperor, Esmond would state that his son should have perished alongside his mother during childbirth in the stead of becoming an Astartes. Uttering a final prayer for his homeworld, Gabriel would execute his father with a single bolt round to the head and order his men to withdraw from the planet. Enacting exterminatus upon the world, for a solar week, cyclonic torpedoes would expunge every trace of life from Cyrene. The guilt of Gabriel's involvement in the death of his homeworld forever weighing upon his conscience. Despite his grievous misfortune, Gabriel Angelos would not falter in his continued service to the Emperor during the Bloodravens campaign on the world of Tartarus. Beset by an orc invasion, Evacuation of the planet would require the Bloodravens chapter to safeguard the Imperial citizens fleeing the conflict, whilst elements of Chaos Space Marine traitors, the Alpha Legion, schemed to uncover an ancient artifact from its surface. Led by the Chaos Lord Bail, the 20th Legion would seek to acquire the device known as the Maledictum in order to harness the power of Chaos for their own malevolent gains, whilst using the Orcs as a diversion. Bail's lieutenant, the sorcerer Sindri Mir, would allow for the Bloodraven librarian, Isidora Kaios, to be enticed by the Maledictum's power, as it promised its use to be for the benefit of his chapter, whilst corrupting the librarian into betraying his own kin. Confronted by Angelos, the once pair of truest comrades would battle, leading to Angelos overcoming Achaeus' powers. Declaring him a heretic in the name of the Emperor, Gabriel would execute Isidore and continue to lead his men in their campaign against the foul schemers of Chaos. Now further burdened with the death of two of his most trusted familial ties, both corrupted in their rejection of the Imperial Creed, Gabriel would not allow for more of his kin to be corrupted by the ruinous powers. Slaying Lord Bail in single combat, Angelos would in their final assault of the site of the Maledictum observe Sindri Mir transform into a demon prince of chaos undivided. The Eldar craft world of Baal-Tan would attempt to seal the powerful demon back into the Maledictum, yet be embattled with the Bloodravens during their purge of chaos corruption. Slaying the Eldar and destroying their avatar of Cain, the Bloodravens would not be swayed from destroying their target, Sindri. Gifted the Warhammer, Godsplitter, by the Inquisitor Mordecai Toth, the Warhammer forged from the fragments of the sword of Baal-Tan's avatar of Cain, the Wailing Doom, would be infused with great psychic power. Wielding the demonic weapon, Angelos would kill Sindri and destroy the Maledictum, yet be unaware of its malign influence surviving with the conclusion of the battle. Unknowingly releasing a greater demon of Khorne from its imprisonment within the artifact, Gabriel would ignore the forewarning of the Eldari Farseer, Maka, and allow for the demon to escape from Tartarus. Tartarus would be surrounded by warp storms and come close to trapping the Bloodravens, yet with a hasty withdrawal from the planet, Gabriel Angelos and his men would escape the trap spawned by Chaos. Vowing to end the existence of the released greater demon, Angelos would not rest until his charge would be expunged from the material realm. Traveling to the world of Rahay's paradise, the Bloodravens would attempt to conduct another blood trial to replenish their now reduced numbers. Discovering an ancient tablet derived from the days of the Horus Heresy upon the planet's archives, cooperation between the populace and the Eldari would once again stoke reprisal from the Bloodravens. Demanding blood for their consorting with Xenos, the Bloodravens would be attacked by Eldari rangers from the craft world of Baal-Tan, focusing to eliminate the chapter's neophytes exhibiting psychic potential. Confronting Farseer Maka, the Eldar would inform Angelos that their deaths would prevent the breaking of the artifact, Lysanthronil's shield, which concealed the Eldar's vast psychic presence from outsiders. Should the shield break, dormant Necrons beneath the surface would awaken, for Rahay's paradise was in actuality a Necron tomb world, harboring untold numbers of the ancient Xenos. Understanding the greater evil laying dormant below, Angelos would attempt to prevent further bloodshed. Yet despite Gabriel's efforts, the Bloodravens would slay the Dark Reaper aspect of the planet's spirit pool, and with the psychic death scream of the Eldari, now consumed by the Chaos God Slaanesh, Lysanthronil's shield would shatter. The Necrons would awaken from their slumber, forcing Gabriel Angelos to order Exterminatus upon the planet to stall the Necrons' resurgence. Withdrawing to the world of Lorn 5 with the surviving aspirants of the blood trials, Angelos would be accused of consorting with Xenos by his peers. Denying accusations of heresy by the captain of the Ninth Company, Ulantis, Angelos would meet with the Eldar Farseer, Taldir, aboard the Bloodravens' battle barge, Litany of Fury. Accompanying the Farseer with a squad of his choosing, the Allies would investigate a tear in the Eldari webway made by the librarian Remar in his attempt to reach the Eldari world of lore. Known to the Imperium as Arcadia, the world would harbor an ancient weapon known as the Blade of Vol, and be a fitting means to combat the now awakening Necrons of the sector. Obstructed by the Chaos Space Marine warband, the Prodigal Sons, under the command of Arzek Ahriman, the Exile would seek to obtain the Blade of Vol for his own heretical desires. With the aid of Angelos, the Bloodravens, and the intervention of Eldar Harlequins, Taldir would foil Ahriman's plans and force his retreat. The Harlequins would bequeath the Blade of Vol to Angelos, to which he would entrust the artifact of Farsia Marca in order to enact a psychic ritual to destroy the Necrons. Naming Angelos as Gabriel of the Hidden Heart, the Harlequins would recognize the human warrior as a symbol of hope for the Eldari, despite his conflicting loyalties. With the Eldar departing, the Bloodravens would once more rebuild their battle-scarred numbers. Half their number of 5 companies had been lost during the separate conflict of the Kuarava campaign under the command of Indrik Boreal, leading to the chapter's desperate need for new recruits. For soon, they would once again be at the forefront of impending total war during the replenishment within the Corianis sector. During the invasion of the Aurelia subsector, Gabriel Angelos would be far from the initial stages of the conflict. Overseeing a total victory against the Tau Xenos within the distant Vorga system, during the Targa campaign, Angelos would instruct Force Commander Aramus as the First Aurelian Crusade began. The hive city of Meridian had proven invaluable in producing armaments and technologies necessary to rebuild the Bloodravens chapter, whilst the many worlds of the sector provided plentiful aspirants to be recruited into the ranks of the Astartes. As the Orc War of Warboss Gutwrencher upon the world of Calderis began, the plights of the Aurelia subsector would only increase with the continued interference of Tyranids of Hive Fleet Leviathan. Captain Davian Fool would fight valiantly to push back the Xenos threats to the system, yet be mortally wounded by a Tyranid warrior and be interred within a Dreadnought sarcophagus. Reinforcing their beleaguered brethren, Gabriel Angelos and his entire company would join Force Commander Aramis in combating the Tyranid menace upon the world of Typhon Primaris and slay the Hive Tyrant Alpha, commanding the swarm. Saving billions from the Great Devourer, Angelos would look upon the ravaged subsector of Aurelia and soon embark upon the Second Aurelian Crusade. The long-lost planet of Aurelia, once the homeworld of the Bloodravens, would return to real space following a ritual by the Chaos Lord, Aragast the Pillager. The Bloodravens under the command of their chaptermaster, Azariah Kairos, would repel the forces of Aragast and the Black Legion, to which Angelos would lead the invasion of the world of Aurelia at the head of his own 3rd and the 5th companies. Combating the returned Chaos Champion of the Wordbearers, Eliphas the Inheritor, Gabriel and his men would further cripple the Black Legion forces by sealing away the greater demon, Ulker, bringing an end to the Second Aurelian Crusade. However, despite the valor of Gabriel Angelos, the corrupting influence of chaos had already seeped into the ranks of the Bloodravens chapter. Azariah Kairos had been present during the initial banishment of Aurelia within the Warp at the side of the then chaptermaster of the Bloodravens, Moriah. Failing to destroy the greater demon of Nurgle, Ulker, the Bloodravens would imprison the demon deep within the heart of the Selenon Keep of Aurelia, with Kairos enacting its containment. Yet with his proximity to the entity, the influence of the greater demon would gradually ensnare Azariah Kairos, and with the conclusion of the Second Aurelian Crusade, Azariah would declare Gabriel Angelos to be a traitor to the throne, and demand his forces to hunt down the captain of the 3rd Company. Civil war would engulf the entire Aurelia subsector as the Bloodravens fought among themselves. Kairos would openly declare his allegiance to the ruinous powers and begin his transformation into the form of a demon prince of Khorne. Confronting the partially ascended demonic entity upon the dead world of Cyrene, Gabriel Angelos would return to his barren homeworld once more to face Azarias. Angelos' forces would give their lives dearly to allow for their captain's duel with the corrupted chaptermaster and allow him to destroy his traitorous kin. Yet despite destroying Kairos, Gabriel would be grievously wounded. His body retrieved by the captain of the Bloodravens Honor Guard, Apollo Diomedes, Gabriel would lose his right eye and both his legs during the battle. uttering to Diomedes to call off the exterminatus of the worlds of the Aurelia subsector due to Kyrus' defeat. Diomedes would order all Imperial forces to stand down as the Bloodravens saw to the wounds of their venerated hero of the chapter. Outfitting Gabriel's body with extensive cybernetic augmentations, his life would be saved, and for his deeds made in the name of his chapter, be appointed as the new chapter master of the Bloodravens. Leading his chapter during the Acheron campaign against the Orc Xenos of the War of Warboss Gorguts and Craftworld of Bialtan under the command of Autarch Kier, Gabriel would once again quell a great threat posed to the galaxy. Battling for possession of the weapon known as the Spear of Cain, Angelos would aid the Imperial Knight forces on the planet under the command of Lady Solaria. Tracking Gorguts' forces to the vault containing the artifact, Angelos would be caught in an orbital bombardment made by the Inquisition, hoping to destroy the spear. Unintentionally destroying the seal of the vault, the Inquisition would allow for the hordes of Orcs and Eldari to storm the Temple of the Spear. Awakening its guardian, a bloodthirster of Khorne, a demonic infestation would be unleashed from the temple. Forming an alliance of convenience, Angelos alongside the Eldar Farseer Marka and Orc Warboss Gorguts would each combat the empowered bloodthirster. Ordering his battle barge, Dauntless, to collide with the surface of Acheron, Angelos would not allow for any to claim the spear, nor enable the demons from spreading. The lives of the Dauntless crew would not be in vain, as their sacrifice would allow for a chance to end the reign of the Greater Demon's rampage by diminishing its strength. With Acheron fragmented, the demon's power would ebb and allow for Angelos, Marka, and Gorguts to slay the creature. Banishing the demon back into the warp, the three wayfarers would part ways. Angelos' chapter had endured much, from the loss of their kin corrupted by chaos, to the many countless resources lost during the three Aurelian Crusades. The Bloodravens would need to rebuild. Reeling from the Acheron campaign, Gabriel Angelos would decree that the chapter must consolidate its remaining strength and begin its recruitment of new aspirants in earnest. Rebuilding to their former strength, under the leadership of Gabriel Angelos, the Bloodravens once again would take to the stars with renewed purpose, were it not for the emergence of the Great Rift. Separated from the wider Imperium and at a diminished strength, the Bloodravens would lose contact with their recruitment worlds and observe rampant outbreaks of mutation and psychic phenomena across the Aurelia subsystem. Some of their librarians would be driven mad by the surge in empiric energies of the Cicatrix Maledictum, with many citing visions of their nemesis, the great unclean one Ulker, stirring from his imprisonment. Now beset by demonic hordes, the subjects of the Aurelia subsector cry out for the salvation of their protectors, the Bloodravens, and their imposing leader. I am no stranger to the depths of planets. Cyrene was my home, but when the need was evident, I did not hesitate to contact the Inquisition. By my hand, Cyrene burned. The innocents who died to ensure Cyrene's secrets were sealed beneath ash, and still haunt me to this day. But I have no regret in this. The threats to mankind are eternal and ever-present, an ocean sinking for every draft in the dam. Cyrene's secrets now live solely within me, and so they shall die within me. As I travel there now to face the monstrosity that was once our chapter master, I am confident by this much. Whether I am victorious or slain, my sins will know retribution. Such is the final testimony of Gabriel Angelos, captain of the Bloodravens' Third Company, savior of Tartarus, bane of the Black Legion, servant of the Emperor. This has been a tale of the Great Imperium of Man, read by the Remembrancer. Gabriel Angelos would embody the resilience of his chapter, no matter the turmoil they would face. Ever faithful to his duty to the Emperor, and proudly defiant in the face of heresy, Angelos would shoulder untold burdens in his acts of service to the Imperium. Look to his example that no matter the corruptions of your surroundings, it is you alone who must choose to walk the path of righteousness. For there are few enemies that can suffocate the fires of determination within you.